What's up, guys, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to talk to you about 3 awesome choices for PFD knives. All right, so of these knives, the one that I've used the most is the NRS Pilot knife. Now, it fits nice and comfortably on my PFD. All of these knives have similar features, and I'll put the link in the description box to each of them. But the one that separates the Pilot for me is that for a number of years I did search and rescue in the Navy. One of the things that I love is to always be prepared, and I like to be prepared by having this glass breaking tip on the end of it. When you've got that serrated handle and you've got the ability to break glass with that thing, I keep one of these in my kayak at all times. But because of the overall length and the way that it kept getting in the way, I dropped down to the NRS Co-Pilot knife that I wear primarily on the shoulder of my PFD. So the major discriminator between the two is the size. The one thing about the Pilot and the Co-Pilot is they have a blunt end for safety if you're using inflatables or rafts or things along those lines, whereas the Neko is going to have a sharper point. You have a little bit more slender overall profile. You've got a bottle opener, you've got a lanyard for attachment point, a lanyard attachment point, got a really nice soft contact grip, and just a overall good feel. You've actually got your thumb serration on there for prying and cutting if you need to. You've got a sharpened blade and a serrated blade on one side and more of a prying option for the other side. These are great for popping oysters open. If you bring a little bit of hot sauce and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of horseradish out there on the flats with you when you're saltwater fishing, you can have the freshest oysters in the world. So growing up, if you ask my papa if he had a knife, he said, "I got britches on, don't I?" Which means if he had on britches, he had a knife. And so for me, if you have on a PFD, you should have a knife, and it should be easy, it should be accessible, and it should be something that has a lot of features. And I don't think there's a more feature-rich PFD knife on the market. One of the biggest features is that you have this lash point attachment so you can connect it to your PFD, and you have single access release. So you push it with one hand and the blade comes right back off, and you find the entry, pop it back in there, and it goes back in with one hand. So because this is more likely than not going to be something that you need in an emergency situation, not just the utilitarian daily use, you want this thing to be somewhere where you can mindlessly reach for it. For me, my strong hand is my right hand, so I put it on the left side so I can reach across, grab that thing, pop it right out of there, and I have it where I need it. So again, guys, there's also a cord cutter in this knife that if I did get entangled after capsizing or something like that, I know that I can blindly reach over, grab my knife, pull it off, and if I can get that cordage around my knuckles, it's going to go into that groove, and I'm going to be able to cut it. It's also good for cutting braided line and other utilitarian functions. But for me, for the most part, this knife and the knives in the NRS lineup are more of a I know it's there when I need it. They also make for a lot of great utilitarian uses, but for me, it's all about safety. If you have on a PFD, and you should have a PFD on if you're in a kayak, then you should have a knife on it. Just like my papa said, if you got on britches, you need to have a knife. If you got on a PFD, you should have a knife. And nothing complements the NRS Chinook or lineup of NRS PFDs better than the NRS lineup of knives. Let's take a quick look at the Co-Pilot and the Neko. All right, so as you can see, for a size comparison, the Co-Pilot is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit wider, and overall just has a little bit of a different profile. You can see this got a little bit broader blade, a little bit shorter cutting area, but overall it feels nice in your hand. I've actually gone to this one because it doesn't stick down as far. It doesn't have the glass breaker on the end of it, but has a nice bottle opener, a nice keyway, and it also has a good lanyard attachment point, but has the same basic one-handed release, one-handed shear lock functionality. Taking a look at this Neko, I'm really intrigued by this blade because this is something that I may be adding to my arsenal or adding into strapping or lashing to my PFD or even to my seat because this thing is small, it's compact, it has the one-handed release, but you don't even have to press the buttons. It simply friction locks into the sheath, and when you pull it out, now the difference in this one over the other two NRS knives is this one is a cut to the point. It has a blade that cuts all the way to the point. It has a sharp tip on it. So if you're fishing out of inflatable boats like an NRS Rival or a Star Pike or a Flycraft or any of those inflatable boats out there, you probably want to steer clear of these razor sharp pointed knives. But guys, to be honest with you, the quality of these things is unbelievable. The features on these things is unbelievable. Again, each one of them includes a bottle opener so that at the end of the day, you can enjoy a refreshing cold one. That also serves as a pry bar if you need it. And again, each of them have a lanyard attachment point. The difference in the Neko is, again, it doesn't have the friction or the release lock. It simply is held in place by friction. Still has the lash tab attachment. All three of these are great choices. So if you're looking for an NRS PFD knife or anything in the extensive lineup or NRS products, be sure to check out the folks at FishUSA.